In the grimdark future of the 41st millennium, there are still Teamsters. Hello and welcome to the Necromundown. We're back with another house deep dive, and today we're talking Orlock. Possibly my number one gang.
Really?
I think. It's one of my favorite.
Okay.
Because I like being able to do a little bit of everything.
That's fair.
And Orlock do a little bit of everything. But we'll get into it. Brief lore, as always. Orlock are basically, they control the mining operations and also the cargo routes of Necromunda. Thus the Teamsters joke. Most of the house is what's called the dredge classes, i.e. miners and like laborers. So to get out of that miserable existence, you can try and join a gang. The gangs are aesthetically and the way they're run, basically biker gangs.
Yep.
They're very biker gangs of the 41st millennium.
Yeah, they got the
bandanas, the big leather jackets, and might as well be wearing jeans. Yeah. So, overview, 40,000 foot view. This is your generalist gang.
Yep.
They do everything okay.
They're the Space Marines. They can do anything, at least a little bit.
Yeah, at least a little bit, but less tough and less elite.
Yeah, that's true.
They shoot pretty well. They punch pretty well, but they won't outshoot Van Sar, and they won't outpunch Goliath.
True.
They also have a lot of shenanigans isn't the right word. They have a lot of auxiliary tools related to toughness. They're not tough in the same way a Goliath is tough, with toughness 4 or a squat. They're tough in the way of the skills access they have, the legendary names they have, and their built-in rules give them additional ways to stick around.
So tough through shenanigans.
Yeah, and the only reason I don't want to say shenanigans is because it's all very straightforward.
Yeah.
Orlock is very blunt.
Yep.
Even as much as, if not more so, than Goliath. Another thing they do very well is income generation. They have a lot of access to the Savant skill tree, which has some great income generation on it. They have legendary names that give them more income generation. They have a couple of hangers-on that do the same thing. They need that income generation because they're expensive. Their stuff is expensive. They don't have no 5-credit las guns here. Good. But once they have it, so they kind of have a rougher early campaign and a very strong late campaign. So, skills. Their house-specific skill is called Bravado, and it's bad.
It's pretty bad. I hadn't actually read it. I've never played Orlock, despite playing against them a lot. But I read them. They're all pretty bad. Yeah,
there is one decent Bravado skill. It's called Shotgun Savant. Basically, it allows you to ignore the long range. It allows you to use your short range bonus as your long range bonus.
But only for shotguns.
Only for shotguns. And when you roll a d6 for scattershot, because remember the way scattershot works is you roll a d6 for the number of hits, so that's the number of wound rolls. You roll 2d6 and pick which one you want.
Okay. So it makes shotguns better.
Yes, it makes shotguns quite a lot better. There is room for a shotgun savant wielding shotgun savant in your gang, especially because Orlock also have cheaper access to combat shotguns, and combat shotguns are really good.
Yes, they are very, very strong. They're just very short-ranged.
And very expensive. They are less expensive, and this makes them even better.
Fair.
There's also another one called Steady Hands, which is just a free reload at the start of your activation.
That's fine. And the only reason I say that it's not bad is because activation and using your actions effectively is very, very strong.
Yes.
So not having to reload, but there's some games where it just won't come up.
The bigger problem with the Bravado skill tree, in addition to it not being great, is that the skills they have access to otherwise are fantastic.
Yep, are bananas.
They have access to the Savant skill tree, which has a couple things on there. They have the what is it? Savvy Trader.
Savvy Trader's on there,
which gives you +1 to your trade bonus. They have Fixer, which is just D3 times 10 credits.
Yep.
Savant is very good, and then they also have Ferocity,
which is another way that they are deceptively tough.
Yeah, Ferocity is not a specific skill tree to Orlock. Other people have it too. But it has things like Nerves of Steel, which is avoid getting pinned on a cool check. Orlock have good cool. They have things like, I always get those two confused, but there's the one that lets you roll 2 injury dice and pick the best. And there's one that lets you recover a flesh wound when you have them.
Yep. That is unstoppable and No, I don't remember the other ones.
I never remember them, and I forgot to write it down.
Yep.
But they're very, very good. So between those being very good and Bravado being kind of meh, you're probably not going to use Bravado a lot.
Fair enough.
Now, their main house mechanic is maybe the weakest one we've talked about so far, but it's also the first one that's completely free.
Yes.
Because we talked about the Escher have their chem stuff, which is expensive but fun. Goliath have their gene smithing, which is expensive but really good. Vansar have their kind of niche but better than a normal arm replacement, Cybernetica.
Yep.
Orlock just have what are called legendary names. This is basically kind of a rules way of like giving people nicknames.
Yeah.
Like that's Bob Iron Stare Pharos.
Yep.
You can pick one at creation for your leaders and champs. Other people can get one as an upgrade.
Yes. It is 3 points to get a random one and 3 experience to get a random one and 6 experience to choose one, and increases your credits by 5, which I think 5 is a little cheap for some of these.
It is, but you're probably not going to, unless you are kind of being a power gamer and spamming, you're probably not going to do that.
Fair.
So some standout ones. There are, by the way, 18 of these.
Yeah, which is nuts.
They have upsides and usually a downside. All of them are kind of fun and flavorful. There is one that lets you ignore the first bullet hit per round, but when you do that, you have to then spend your next 2 activations on a move. Because you're basically bullet dodging.
That's so dumb.
There is one that lets you ignore the effects of the Blaze trait, but not do any group activations because you are clearly insane. For power-wise, a few of the standouts. One of them is Iron Stare, which is enemies have to pass a cool check to shoot you if you have line of sight to them. And you never count as the closest person for targeting priority.
This is, yes, you never count as the closest person for target priority, which the book kind of says... Like, but this is the downside. It's not. There's no.
It's not that. This one has no downside. Even a champion with 4-up cool, can occasionally roll a 2 or a 3, and just not be able to shoot someone with this,
which is insane because fearsome says can't be attacked in melee for a reason.
Right. This one does not apply to melee.
Right.
It doesn't stop charges. It just can sometimes stop you from getting shot. It's very good.
It's very strong.
Another one, and this is the one you kind of have to watch out for, is Too Pretty for Primus. If the fighter is still on the battlefield, you get 2d6 times 5 credits, but if you roll doubles, your opponent gets the credits instead. This is one that, as an arbitrator, you should probably make sure your players don't spam, because this can lead to early game cred generation.
We have had this particular legendary name ruin at least one of our campaigns.
Yes.
And we had a talk with the player. They said that they didn't think it was going to be as strong as it was. But yes, if you spam this, you could just absolutely roll away with.
And if you're going for that kind of campaign, by all means do so. Because there's no limit on legendary names.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, we house ruled that only one person can have a legendary name from each gang. Because it doesn't make sense to me that there can be 2 guys with the Iron Stare nickname.
Yeah. What, like, oh, that's Iron Stare Tony. Oh, and that's Iron Stare Bob.
No, only one of you gets to be Iron Stare.
Why are they not limited? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Everybody in your gang just looks like that one grandpa from the Boondocks just doing the thing. Right.
And there's 18 of them. You have plenty of choice.
Right. Well, there's not 18 good ones.
Yeah, but
my personal favorite one, this is not the most effective one, but it's my favorite, is Bullet Lord, which is once per battle, you can set a firepower dice to 3, but you auto-fail an ammo check.
So you get that 3 shots.
At least 3 hits.
Yeah.
Or if you combine it with a rapid fire 2 weapon.
Because you set a firepower dice to 3.
Right. It's not set both of them to 3.
So you set 1 to 3 and you have to roll the other one.
Yes, but you could get, it's great for priority target killing. And as long as you don't have a scarce weapon, you just reload.
Yeah.
Beware the scarce, though.
Put that on the guy that has the one skill that says you reload for free.
Or you could do something way better with your time. So yeah, the legendary names, all of these are completely free. I mean, if you pick one later after creation, it's 5 credits, whatever. Yeah. Who cares? But otherwise, they're really fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the lowest key house mechanic we've had.
They're a strange balance, being not too strong because they're free.
Right.
And spammable, so potentially broken.
Yeah. Welcome to Necromunda.
Yeah, fair enough.
You new here? So your base leader is your road captain. See the themes here, roads. He's 105 credits. He's the only leader before squats who starts with 3 wounds, which makes him, again, we talked about toughness in ways that not toughness.
Yeah.
Because he still has the basic 5-inch movement, 3s and 3s, so he's a dual. Strength 3, toughness 3, 3 to hit, 3 to hit, initiative 4, 2 attack, so he's not a melee powerhouse.
Sure.
But he's good enough at it. A very good leadership 4, a decent cool 5, willpower 5, intelligence 5. He's 105 credits, and he's does everything.
Yeah.
He's not great at melee like a Escher leader has 3 attacks or a Goliath leader has strength 4.
Yeah. It's really weird for a leader to have not that many like above average stats.
Yes.
His mental stats are good, and his wounds are +1, but other than that, he's pretty average.
Yeah. But as anybody who's playing Necromunda knows, +1 wound is huge.
Oh, yeah, it's massive.
3 wounds to start can make a guy really difficult to kill. And that means that using your leader can be an interesting challenge because he's got 3-up ballistic skill. You could put a heavy gun on this guy and go to town. But he's also got 3-up weapon skill and 3 wounds. So you could also use him as a melee powerhouse if you wanted to.
Very much like the Escher that we talked about previously. It wants to do both, so you kind of don't want to ignore either one.
Right.
Which can make him very expensive.
The difference is unlike Escher, where they kind of have equal access, Orlock has some great access to heavy weapons. And with that, late game, you are probably looking at making this guy a ranged weapon powerhouse.
Yeah.
Probably less so than a melee powerhouse, mostly because there's another guy that probably makes a better melee powerhouse.
True.
He obviously, his skill access, he has leadership. He doesn't have vibrato. He has leadership and savant.
Yep.
And ferocity. I like putting the leadership skill that gives him -1 to bottle.
That is a very strong one.
Because that, combined with another one we're going to talk about, means that your Orlocks are really hard to get rid of.
Yeah, I don't care how elite you are. Running is going to be difficult.
Right.
And that one's called Iron Will.
Yes. I love Iron Will in general, and it might seem redundant to put it on these guys, but it means that you just don't bottle, ever, because you're rocking a -3 to roll. 105 credits is decent.
Yeah. That's probably average for a leader. Next is the Road Sergeant. I find it very funny that these are both Road, despite Ashwaste not coming for years and years after this was
No,
made.
yeah, it was implied that they kind of ruled the roads.
They ruled the roads before roads existed. They're also movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, so again, leaning more towards range. Strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 2, 4-up initiative, 2 attacks. Still pretty good mental stats. Leadership 5, cool, willpower, and intelligence 6.
And all that for 80 credits.
80 credits. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So the weapon skill 4 clearly puts this guy into the he is your ranged gunner.
Yep.
And especially combined up against the other champion we're about to talk about, this is your ranged champ. This is the guy you put heavy weapons on.
Yep. Heavy weapons, even just a bolter is good on this guy because while bolters are basic weapons, they're very strong basic weapons.
Yeah, and they do get them a little cheaper.
Yep.
Or combat shotgun.
They particularly like what is it called when it's physical ammo?
Bullets.
Well, yes, but not what I meant. There's kinetic
Gunpowder. Like
No.
there's not really terms for it in Necromunda, but
that's true.
Kinetic
Yeah.
ammo.
For
Yeah, Orlock doesn't do lasers.
no.
Well, except for one. They do one laser better than everybody else. The Road Sergeant has ferocity and also bravado, so he has ferocity.
So ferocity?
Yeah, he has ferocity, basically. And you're going to put... This is a great guy to put Iron Stare on. This is a great guy if you don't want to get pinned and lose your shot before you get suspensors to put Nerves of Steel on, because you can get shot and then just kind of stare at somebody. Beware, though, that can betray you because you can get shot and not pinned and then just keep getting shot.
Yeah, and then just stand there.
At gang start, a bolter is a great way to go. You're probably going to eventually want to put a heavy whip bolter on this guy.
Sure.
Plasma guns are also fantastic. We say they don't do energy or lasers, but they do plasma.
Everybody does plasma.
It's on the list,
they're so dumb.
It's always good.
I love the thought of having a heavy bolter, and then your heavy bolter runs out of ammo, so you pull out a regular bolter. It's also a 6-up.
There's even a tactics card to fire both at once.
Oh my god.
I think that doesn't work with unwieldy. But still, this is your ranged champ. Your not ranged champ is your arms master. He's 95 credits. And for that, so 15 credits more than a road sergeant and 10 credits less than your captain. So keep that in mind. For that, you are re-upgraded to 3-up weapon skill.
And literally every other stat is exactly the same.
Every other stat is the same, but he comes with a built-in rule.
He does have an extra rule, which is definitely worth those 15 points.
So in addition to hitting on 3s, he has Rule of Iron. So first off, when you activate him, one visible friendly fighter within 6 inches gets Nerves of Steel. If they don't already have it, you don't get to double dip.
I don't even know how you would do that.
I don't know. Like, I get to make 2 cool checks. Oh. No. So you can give someone else Nerves of Steel, which is really good. But more importantly, +2 to your bottle check.
Which is so strong.
Right.
There is an entire skill that is just +1.
This guy gives a positive +2 modifier. Or am I saying that wrong? Is it -2? I always get confused with how you roll these. Basically, he makes your bottle checks better by 2.
Mm-hmm. And it is not per Arms Master. It is if you have at least 1.
Yes. And as long as he's on the battlefield. Once he dies...
Yeah, that goes away.
That goes away. For that alone, I think it is worth bringing one of these guys, especially at gang creation.
Minimum
because this lets you go more elite at gang creation without suffering the biggest problem of elite, which is losing 2 guys and then having to make a bottle check.
Agreed.
Now, the downside to the Arms Master is that his weapons choice is very limited.
Yes.
Not just the weapons choice on his page, like on his house list, but he can only get pistol, basic, and close combat weapons even from the trading post.
Yep. For a champion, his choices are very limited. But his choices inside those limitations are pretty good.
So he still has ferocity.
Still has ferocity.
And bravado. This is the one guy I could see putting Shotgun Savant as.
Really?
If you don't want to make him a melee champion, maybe because it's just not how you're rolling, giving him a combat shotgun, which is on his house list, and giving him Shotgun Savant and having him be just a close-range brawler.
True.
Or making him a melee champion and giving him Shotgun Savant anyway.
Yeah.
So he can fire as he walks up the field. I think it is a legitimate play for this guy.
That's fair. Because your other guys, your road champions, don't really want to be up close.
No, this guy and your leader are the only ones who kind of do. Your normal gangers, well, and your prospect do, but those are different things. So, yeah, he can only get, like, you can't build him as a heavy weapons platform because he literally cannot hold them, even after creation with the trading post. So giving him either a really good melee weapon or a shotgun and Shotgun Savant with some really cool ammo is the way to go for them.
Agreed. Next, we have the Gunner, which is the ganger.
Your basic ganger.
Your basic boy. Think of a normal stat, and they probably have it. It is movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, 4 up initiative, 6 on leadership, which is slightly above average.
And also doesn't matter.
And then 7 across the board on the other 3.
Yeah, the gunner is the definition of average.
Yep. Yeah, and he's 45 points, which is honestly probably a little too expensive, but
yeah, there's a school of thought that gunners are a little too expensive for what they are.
Yeah.
Especially because of your other things, and you won't end up bringing a lot of them.
No,
honestly, because of the other things you have access to. But they're there, and they're very basic, and they do well. You can make them punch okay. You can make them shoot okay. They've got cheaper bolters on their house list. What do you want?
Yeah, fair.
Worth noting that the gunner specialist can bring heavy weapons.
Yes.
Other specialists usually can't do that.
They can only bring specials.
Yes, the gunner can bring the gunner specialist can bring heavy weapons, and the heavy bolter is on their list,
which is hilarious.
Makes it very easy to have 3 heavy bolters on the field if you choose.
Dear God.
It's one of the ways to make them very good.
I'm so glad that they don't have access to Overwatch.
And then we get to the real pièce de résistance.
My most hated model in the game.
Because they're so good.
They're so good.
The Wrecker. Everyone's favorite prospect. So for 55 credits, 10 credits more than a gunner, worth every penny. You get a natural 6-inch movement, 5 up weapons skill, not as bad as it seems, 4 up ballistic skill, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 3 up initiative, 1 attack, and bad mental stats. 9 leadership and 8s across the board. The main thing you get with Wreckers, built into their cost of 55 credits, is you get a jump booster. So once per your activation, not both.
Yeah,
that's
not
important.
for both moves.
During a move or charge, you can just add 3 inches. So functionally, he always has 9-inch movement.
Yeah, speed 9 with no downside.
Eat it, Vansar.
Yeah, who has speed 7 and gets -1 to whatever. It's fine.
But you can also choose to overwatch it, or sorry, overcharge it, which gives you you roll a d6, and on a 1 you fall flat on your face, you get pinned, and you lose all your stuff.
which is very funny. That's very orc to me.
But you then add D3 extra to your movement on top of the 3 inches.
Right.
So you can go up to 9 plus D3 inches if you choose.
Not only that, you also get +1 strength and +1 to hit when you charge when you do it.
Which is why that 5-up weapon skill doesn't seem so bad.
Yep.
Because you're hitting on 4s.
Yep.
And then
without a +1 from your weapon. So if you take like a flail or a sword or something.
Which you probably will. Their list, of course, is pistols, basic weapons.
Yeah, they're
close combat weapons.
Fast tubes.
Oh, sorry, pistols and close combat weapons with like 1 special weapon.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of their list is flails, which is +1 to hit in melee and +1 strength.
Yep.
Or chainswords, which are also +1 to hit in melee, meaning that on the charge you will hit on 3s.
Yeah, which is awesome. And chainswords are pretty good.
You're dual wielding, you're going to have 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s, 3 attacks with 9 inches minimum of movement is really good.
Oh, and also we didn't mention because it's not listed here. They can also ignore vertical movement for half of their moves.
Yeah, it is a jetpack, so you can
So
if you have 9-inch movement, you can ignore 4.5 inches of vertical movement.
Yeah, so you can basically climb buildings without having to climb them.
Yeah, it really is a better Vansar prospect.
It is.
Now, there are some slight downsides. If you roll that 1, you'll flatten your face. Any template or grenade weapons you use get the unstable keyword if you use them.
Okay, I want you to look at me in the eyes. Never put a grenade on these guys, because grenades always count as running out of ammo automatically.
Always put a grenade on these guys.
Every time you shoot it, they have a 50% chance to die.
Witness me.
Now, hand flamers, on the other hand, all day.
Yeah, they can get hand flamers.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's unstable, but man.
Oh, yeah. Just moving at minimum 9 inches hand flamer.
So for 55 credits, they're a little too expensive to give a blasting charge and go on a suicide run.
Yes.
In my opinion.
I agree.
I actually prefer putting a melee weapon and a pistol.
Yep.
If you want to, spring for a plasma pistol, because it's very good.
Yeah.
And on the charge, you're hitting on a 3.
Yeah.
Because it's +1 to hit. If you want to make them cheap, you give them an auto pistol and a flail.
Yeah.
They can go where they want, threaten whom they want. They also have las cutters on their house list. Las cutters are an 85 credit, strength 9, AP 3, damage 2 monstrosity. Or is it AP 2? I don't remember. They're absolutely brutal weapons that ignore your weak strength and will mince anything.
Yeah. I don't care what your strength is. I'm strength 9.
They're expensive, but they're very good.
Yeah.
Wreckers are, for my vote, the best prospect in the game.
Completely agreed. We'll talk about it at the end, but yeah, if I were to make a list, it would, yeah.
Nothing but wreckers. They also look really cool.
Yeah. They should not, just for balance purposes, they shouldn't have gang fighter. They should count as a champion.
Sour grapes. Sour grapes. These are really what makes Orlock good.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's go on to the next disappointment.
The rest of them are all very like generic and can do kind of anything, but nothing special. Those are busted.
Well, let's balance it out with the Greenhorn.
Greenhorn is your run-of-the-mill juvie. He is 35 credits, speed 6, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, 3 initiative, 7, 888 for mental stats.
Yeah.
So bad mental stats. It's basically -1 to your ballistic skill and otherwise exactly the same for 20 less credits?
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
That's not nothing. There is a school of thought of like spamming those guys. I have a few in my list because they can get the ballistic skills upgrades.
Yeah, they're there to go out, maybe hit some stuff, and probably die.
The problem is they're only 10 credits less than a normal ganger.
Yeah.
And for 10 credits, would you rather have +1 weapons of ballistic skill? I would.
+1 weapons ballistic skill, but -1 movement and initiative.
I'd still rather have the ganger most of the time. I don't bring ganger.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
Worth noting, by the way, that the Wrecker does promote up into a road sergeant or arms master. And when they do so, they keep their jetpack.
Yeah, it has been errata that they keep their jetpack.
So you could have, in theory, if you got through a long enough campaign, you could have a Wrecker who becomes an arms master.
Yes.
With a jetpack.
Fear me.
Fear me, yeah. Witness me. So that's it for the main gangers. Let's talk about our brutes, our pets, and our vehicles. So, gotta shout out the Ambot here. We've talked about the Ambot a lot.
Yes.
It's not unique to Orlock, but what it is it's discounted.
Yeah, so there are, I believe it's 2 gangs that get it discounted, and we haven't talked about the other one yet, so we'll save that for later. But the Ambot is one of the best brutes in the game, and they get it for 30 points cheaper at 185.
Yarp.
Why?
Because they're miners.
I understand it's mining equipment. I understand they get it at, like, discount from the manufacturer or whatever. I just hate it.
Thanks, I hate it. On the not so great side of things, we get the Lugger Cargo Servitor, which does not have a model.
Nope.
To my knowledge. It's 230 credits, so 45 credits more than an Ambot.
Yep.
It comes with a harpoon launcher and a light carapace by default. It ignores unwieldy by default, so suspensor's built in. It rerolls ammo checks of a 1. It has the shooting skill.
Shooting's good.
Yeah, it is good. The problem is that it's a movement 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 5 with 3 wounds, 2 attacks, really good cool and bad mental stats.
So I see this as you take an Ambot, you make it shooting instead of melee, and because of that, they had to increase its points.
Yeah. Now, the problem is the harpoon launcher is kind of short range and not great.
Yeah.
To give it a good weapon, you've got to cough up 50 credits for heavy bolter.
Or 85 credits for a heavy flamer.
You will never do that, and you should not do that, because it's not as good as a heavy bolter for 50 credits. Or 20 credits for a heavy stubber if you kind of want to go cheap.
Yeah, heavy stubber's not bad as long as you're not in the ash wastes.
Yeah. 20 extra credits to put on heavy carapace armor.
Which is not as big of a downside as it would be on some other brutes, because this thing's not going to charge.
You're probably not charging, and your initiative's already 5.
Yeah,
so
make
if
it a
goes
6.
To 6. Yeah, what
Who
the heck?
cares?
This doesn't matter. Don't do that if there are photon flash grenades around. You can put a monocyte on it for 25 credits.
Interesting. I think that's the only time I've ever seen a weapon upgrade on a brute.
They're pretty rare.
They're very rare.
I don't remember other ones.
If you are flush with credits because you're taking too pretty for Primus on everybody, you know what?
For 200, so the problem is for 280 credits, you are getting a strength 5, toughness 5, ballistic skill 4, weapons platform.
Yes.
Once you start getting, and a heavy bolter, even on ballistic skill 4, heavy bolters have +2 to hit at short range.
Yeah.
Which is 18 inches.
Yeah. It's not bad.
That's not bad. Like, he's really not that bad.
He's just expensive.
Yeah, he's very expensive. I would love to see what the model for this looks like.
Yeah.
I've never taken one because I would always just rather put better guns on my gangers.
That's true. Again, if you're flush with cash, go for it. But otherwise, there are other options.
One of the other iconic parts of House Orlock is their dogs. Doggos. They're cyber mastiffs. They're exotic beasts. They're 100 credits, and I'm going to say they might be the most worth it that we've talked about so far.
Interesting.
Their stats are irrelevant.
Basically.
Strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack. The main thing, and its melee attack is strength 3, AP 2, 1 damage, and disarm.
Sure.
It's fine. The main thing that this does is that it stops you from being coup de grace while it is active and engaged within 3 inches of the owner. Not even within base contact of the person. Like,
right.
An enemy fighter cannot coup de grace you while this thing is standing inactive.
So normally you can't coup de grace someone when you're within 1 inch of another enemy. But this one says 3 inches of its owner. So basically, as long as it's in its leash range,
this thing can stay out of combat and still protect you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
That is pretty good. I don't know if it's worth 100 credits.
Most of the exotic pets aren't.
It's fair. I like the spider better.
Yeah, it is a tough call. Webbers are always terrifying.
Yep. Between Weber and Fearsome, and it's only 75 credits compared to 100, I like that one better. But this one is probably the second best we've seen.
It's got the combat skills primary.
Cool.
Whoop-de-flip-and-do.
Is combat the one with headbutt? I want to make my dog headbutt somebody.
No, that's Brawn.
Aw, dang.
Combat is the one with, like, parry.
That would be funny.
Hangers on. There's a couple of them. One of the big ones is the bullet merchant. He's 75 for everybody else, but he's 25 for Orlock. All the ammo in the trading post becomes common. Any limited ammo becomes scarce instead.
This has become less good in the new book because they took away a lot of the super special ammos. Some of them still exist, but not near as strong. That being said, it's only 25 credits.
This has a lot of synergy with combat shotguns and firestorm rounds.
Yes. Combat shotguns. The the limited ammo is always a turn off to like go like, well, if I ever run out of ammo, it's gone. But turning your limited into scarce it makes you take things you wouldn't normally take.
Right. Executioner rounds for normal shotguns become even better with this.
The bolter explosive rounds.
Yes.
Also very good. Turn your bolters into AoE 3s. Next is the Grease Monkey. I've always hated that name. Is similar to the Brute Handler from Goliath in that it makes your brutes cooler, but it's a hanger-on, so you have to have a hanger-on slot and a brute,
or
what? What am I missing?
Jump boosters of your wreckers.
Oh, the wrecker part.
Right.
I forgot.
So the Grease Monkey's 40 credits. You can overcharge one of your brutes or the jump boosters of your wreckers during the pre-battle sequence. An overcharged brute gets movement and attacks by D3 whenever it activates. However, if you roll a 1, you get a wound with no save.
Yeah.
The jump booster gets D6 to the movement roll each time the fighter is activated. If you roll a 1, no extra movement, and you only get a single activation. This one's not great.
It's not great. 40 credits for a thing that could hurt you.
It is not great, but Wrecker with an extra seconds movement.
And if I'm reading that right, it doesn't say instead. It's D6 on top of your normal movement?
Yeah.
And
adds D6 to the movement of a Wrecker.
So they're 9 plus D6 plus D3?
I think this is...
Instead of the D3?
Yeah, an overcharged... Because you have to overcharge.
Yes.
And it's D6 instead of the D3. Which makes it even less good.
But it says Grease Monkey can overcharge the jump booster. And if it's overcharged, it's D6. I think it's on top of the D3.
Oh. That is an interesting one. I have to FAQ that.
Yeah. That might be...
I'm probably not taking it either way.
I mean, not me either. It's
like,
way too niche and, again, potentially harmful.
And there's other better things that they can bring, which we're about to talk about. Basically, the prize fighter. So for another 40 credits, you roll 2d6, pick the highest, times 10 credits after every match. So you roll 2d6, you get a 4, 40 credits.
Yep.
If you roll a 1, you get no credits. If you roll double ones, he dies. On average, this guy pays for himself after 2 matches and dies in like 8 matches or something like that on average. I mean, you could fail or you could never roll double ones. This guy is just sheer income generation with no risk.
Just like Too Pretty for Primus, except there is a risk to give it to your opponent.
There is tactically a risk there too.
But another reason that they are high on credit generation and can get out of hand if they get this stuff early and get lucky.
And the prize fighter, you should buy early.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the thing about Orlock is that they need this credit generation because their stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
But it can get out of hand.
Yeah.
But that's kind of Necromunda in a nutshell. You know?
True.
Nutshell Necromunda. Anyway, ammo jacks. Obviously not only Orlock, but I want to shout out ammo jacks for Orlock because they don't have an ammo check above a 4 up.
Yeah, basically anywhere.
Anywhere.
So rerolling ammo checks, good.
Yeah.
It also should be mentioned that the ammo jack, and because you have access to Savant, you can take Munitioneer, which can also give you rerolls to your ammo checks.
Yes. Pretty good. It's a good pick. Probably secondary after the prize fighter.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about their one vehicle.
It was the first vehicle released. It was in the Ashway starter set. The Orlock Outrider Quad. It is 80 credits, a light vehicle with 9-inch movement, one of the fast vehicles in the game. Toughness 4 on the front, which is better than a light vehicle generally. Dedicated gunner, which means it can move its full distance and still shoot with a move and shoot. And it can... it has 2 hull points, which is also better than a regular... It's just generally better.
We talked a lot about this in our vehicles specific video. It's basically a light vehicle, but better.
Yep. You do need to pay 35 points for the crew instead of the 20 points for a Scum Racer, but it's worth it.
Yeah, the crew is basically it's very average stats, but it has 6 up cool, and cool is one of the mental stats that does matter for vehicles.
Yeah, it is the most relevant mental stat in the game.
Yep. So, and you can stick a heavy bolter on this thing at creation, which is pretty decent, or you can put a laskin on it later, which is hilarious. Yeah, it's a good all-around vehicle. I heavily recommend bringing one. They also look really cool.
They do.
They are really annoying to build, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're...
Fair.
And paint. Hope you like sub-assemblies because you will use them. Yeah. All right. Unique equipment. Not a lot.
Yeah. They have, basically their thing is bolt weapons, bolt guns, shotguns.
Yes.
A lot of like, again, biker stuff.
And they get discounted bolt guns, and shotguns.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't have a ton of interesting weapons.
They have the arc hammer, which I think is unique to them.
It is.
It's kind of like a slightly better, it's a better two-handed hammer because it doesn't give you the -1 to hit.
Yeah.
I think.
Which is,
With a problem with a two-handed hammer.
Exactly.
They have a lot of access to the sawn-off shotgun. The sawn-off shotgun sucks. Don't take it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's strength 3 instead of strength 2, but it's like 4-inch range for that +2 to hit.
Yeah.
Some groups, you give it the sidearm keyword. We don't because it gets too good.
Yeah. It goes from basically unplayable to why wouldn't I take one?
Right. To it's like the only thing you would use for a combat character.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's thematic for Orlock, but don't take the sawn-off shotgun. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of unique stuff to them. I want to shout out that they also have pretty good access to the mining laser,
Yeah.
which is the poor man's last cannon.
Yes.
Strength 9, AP 3, 3 damage, 18-inch range, -1 to hit out of 9 is the problem.
Yeah.
But it's cheap.
It's cheap. And you put that on somebody that's 3 up to hit, it's not that bad.
Just don't use it in the ash waste.
Nope.
It's real bad there. Otherwise, I don't really think they have any house-specific weapons.
I don't think so.
Their thing is like cheaper bolters and combat shotguns.
Yeah.
Arguably the 2 most effective basic weapons in the game.
Yeah.
Terrain. There's a lot to talk about here, but not a lot to talk about here.
Yeah. So I believe this was one of the first house books.
No, it was the third.
Really?
This was after.
I thought this was the first one.
This was Chains was the first. This was after Chains and Blades.
Oh yeah, you're right, because they were the original starter set. The sawn-off surprise, hilariously, the same points cost as a shotgun. Oh no, a sawn-off shotgun's 15, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's 5 for 5 credits more than a sawn-off shotgun. You can get a sawn-off shotgun booby trap,
which is, in my opinion, better.
Yeah, I mean it's more useful than carrying it.
It is.
I'm still not gonna pay for it.
It works like a booby trap. If you move within so many inches of it, you have a chance to set it off with your initiative, and you get automatically hit with a sawn-off shotgun, which is strength 3 scatter shot.
I mean, yeah,
It
does cause pinned.
Yeah, because it's a gun technically. I don't think it's good. It's only 20 credits though.
Yeah, I guess I could see the use for it.
It doesn't take up any ammo. You just put it down.
Yeah. It's basically the shotgun trap from Fallout.
Yeah,
I see a lot of those. Promethean barrels are 30 credits. If you activate within 3 inches, you only get 1 move instead of 2. You also get +1 to your blaze roll. Or sorry, you get +1 to cause blaze.
Yes.
With a hit. So blaze in a 3 instead of 4.
So you only activating within 3. You only get 1. Oh, only get 1 move action. Sorry, I thought it said only 1 action, and I was like, this is garbage.
No, it's 1.
I mean,
move.
it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. Don't get it. But it's not as bad as a servitor sentry, which is a sentry for 100 credits that either comes with an auto gun or a shotgun and a 5-up ballistic skill.
It's like the what is the servo skull?
Yeah.
That's like it gets a single pistol with a 5-up and can't be increased.
Yeah.
Like why would you do that?
Yeah.
But this one's 100 credits.
Yeah. So much worse.
Take your 15-point weapon and make it a 5-up. Jesus.
Yeah. Toolbox for 50 credits. Everyone within an inch gets a free reload action. You put this in the right spot, it can help.
Yeah.
Also, all your cyber stuff, so your Ambot, your Mastiff, your Lugger, the Sentry you're not going to bring, can heal a wound on a 4-up within an inch.
So basically just the Lugger, because the Ambot, the Mastiff, you are going to be more than an inch away from this thing, and you're never going to take the Sentry. So the Lugger could stand back and heal 1.
Yeah, I could see a thing for putting the Lugger by this with a heavy bolter.
Yeah.
And, put them next to an ammo crate and this thing and just turret yourself all dang game.
That's better than this than the Sentry turret.
Yes, it is.
Granted, it's also like 3 times the price.
Yeah. And then you get to the Road Relic, which is their relic, and is the best relic we've seen so far because it has guns on it.
Yeah. Rather than like making your opponent take an insane check or like giving you plus, no.
Stick a gun to it.
Just
Let's
has a
make
heavy
something
stubber.
worth taking. Like, it's a heavy stubber, but it's a heavy stubber that does not have the -1 to hit at long range.
Which is just immediately better.
And has a shorter range alternate fire version with rapid fire 3 and unstable. Woohoo!
I love it.
I love this one.
I will be buying that.
It's not good,
I don't care.
but it's fun. It's fun. It's the most fun relic ever because this is our holy relic. Is that just a turret? Yes.
I mean, fair.
Hop on and witness me.
That's going very Mad Max. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
I will die historic in the Necromunda roads. All right. And that's it. So let's talk about some sample lists. The one problem with Orlock is that because they can do everything, there's kind of the choice paralysis thing.
Right.
And we say they can do everything, but they're still a shooting-focused gang.
Yes.
They're not their skills and such reward shooting more than melee,
True.
but they can throw down in melee well enough.
Yeah, I agree.
So with that in mind,
They're like, so Goliath is the other side. They can do both, but they're better at melee.
and Goliath, yeah, because Goliath can carry heavy bolters just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And they're terrifying.
But these guys are just a little bit off to the range side of the spectrum.
Yeah. So my starting list that I built as a road captain, for 105 credits, I put a servo claw on him because it has +2 to your strength. No AP, but 2 damage.
It's pretty strong.
In initial starts, that's pretty good. And I put a plasma pistol on him because that thing will last you the entire campaign. One downside of Orlock is that your road captains and sergeants do not have access to armored undersuits
Ooh,
on their house list. Your arms master does.
that
but
makes sense.
Your other 2 don't. So at the start, you're only getting mesh and you're liking it. And of speaking of which, I gave him mesh. I also have a road sergeant with a shotgun with executioner rounds, which to start with is brutal. It's strength 4,
Executioner rounds are very strong.
AP 2, 2 damage, +1 to hit at long range outside of 8 inches. So that he's a closer range character. I didn't give him a bolter,
Sure.
which would have been about the same cost. Actually, would have been cheaper to give him a bolter. No, sorry, 5 credits more to give him a bolter. But this is building him up for later because if I give him a heavy bolter later, having that shotgun.
True.
Oh, hi, you got close to me. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Of course, I have my arms master. I gave him a combat shotgun and mesh armor. You notice I didn't mention skills on these. You can't go wrong. Nerves
True.
of Steel for your road sergeant. My road captain, I would put Iron Will on, and then my arms master. Depending on if I'm feeling...
See, I would be more likely to put Nerves of Steel in my arms master because you don't have melee on him.
Yes.
But I would put melee on him, and having being a melee specialist without the ability to not be pinned is
bad.
rough.
Yeah, it's a rough choice between Nerves of Steel or something like Unstoppable. And then I have 2 wreckers, both who have auto pistols and flails. No armor to start. A gunner specialist who has the classic grenade launcher with a frag and crack. Can't go wrong with that. 2 gunners with auto guns, 2 greenhorns with stub guns. That gives me a total of 10 guys off the bat.
It's pretty good.
For 995 credits. A lot of them don't have armor, but a lot of them are supremely disposable, so I don't care.
So my list is less specific and more nebulous.
Which is to say you didn't write it down.
Which is to say I didn't write it down.
What is a list, man?
If you think about it.
What does a list, like, mean?
So I would probably, because they are so good, probably take some things that are very similar to yours, but I would swap things around a little bit. My road captain would have all the armor I can give him.
So the bad news is that's just mesh.
I know. Mesh and a combat shotgun, because I want him to be up front, because I want him to be a little bit of both.
Yep.
And I would give him Iron Will. The road sergeant, which I will be taking one of each champion. The road sergeant, I would likely give a bolter to start, because it's cheap and good to start the game with. Also mesh, because I can't give him anything else. And then the arms master, I would start with just the arc hammer, and then all of the armor I can give him.
Come here.
Yeah, and like I said,
Arc hammer is 70 credits, by the way, which is a lot, but it is good.
It's a lot, but it's good. And for the road sergeant, again, you can't really go wrong. But if I had to pick, like at the moment, it'd probably be munitioneer. I like
keep him
munitioneer
loaded.
Yeah, especially if he's going to have a bolter and the road sergeant's going to have a shotgun. Then I would take a specialist with probably a grenade launcher, because the best thing a specialist can take. I know it's very boring.
Yeah, but it's real good.
And then I would fill out the rest of the list with wreckers because they're broken.
They're not broken. They're just good. We're gonna have so much fun when we get to corpse render cults. Yeah, those wreckers, they move 9 inches. Anyway, my lady's going to move 18.
Hey. We have house ruled that that's not how that works. I'm just saying.
No, even with the house rule, it still can move like 18 inches in one because 2 9-inch moves.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, don't give me that.
Fair enough. So yeah, I wouldn't bother with gunners. I wouldn't bother with greenhorns. I would just like give
wreckers all the way down.
Wreckers all the way down, preferably with, because I want to give them flamers later. So probably some cheap ranged weapon like a stub pistol, and then a chainsword if I can afford it.
I really think the auto pistol is the way to go. I know it's a little more expensive, but it's so much better in combat than the stub pistol.
That's true. The stub pistol, well,
but the stub pistol's more versatile at range.
The stub pistol's more versatile at range. It has access to the
Dum-dums.
the dum-dum rounds, which is,
and it's cheaper. It's 5 credits.
It is 5 credits, which is, like I said, I want to make them super cheap, and they're +2 at short range.
Yes,
which means that ballistic skill 4, no 5, no, it is 4.
It's 4. It's 4.
So it goes down to 2 at short range, and you can move into short range really easily with a 9-inch move without even overcharging.
That's a very good point. Like, you don't have to use wreckers as combat. You can use them as mobile shoot platforms.
Yeah.
With pistols. Which is why when I like to go on wreckers, I like to give one a plasma pistol because a mobile plasma pistol shooting wrecker is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
Now, the only problem with wrecker spam is that because their mental stats are bad, when you start failing nerve checks, you are screwed.
Yes.
That is the one. The wreckers are very good, but they do not stick around.
Which is why I have Iron Will and a Road Captain to get +2 to all of that.
Well, they don't get +2 to the nerve checks when like someone dies nearby.
Oh, they don't have to be next to each other.
No.
They just don't have to be within 3.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying this is a bad idea. Like, the wreckers are really good.
Yeah.
You just have to play them carefully because they're not champions.
Yeah.
They are fragile because they have none
until
of that.
they level up to champions.
None of that. You are never getting a wrecker that high.
Watch me.
My dual las cutter wielding wrecker last campaign didn't even get that to that point.
It's because you had 2 las cutters. You did it wrong.
Yeah, no, I blended a ridge hauler in one hit, but I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Still only counts as 1.
Exactly.
Apparently. No, wreckers are great, but they don't have any of the keep me alive shticks.
Yeah.
So they fold like wet paper and they run like the breeze.
But that's the same as a greenhorn.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I still have a specialist, so I have 4 that aren't those, and then the rest are just like running at you screaming with a chainsword and pistols.
No, I think it's got merit to it.
Yeah.
Less balanced, but probably more fun.
Yeah. Which is how I do.
Yeah, this is fair. So that's Orlock in a very, very large nutshell.
Yeah.
They do everything a little bit. Nothing that they technically excel at. Maybe credit generation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Honestly, dwarves go a little bit that way,
Yeah,
too.
I was about to say, every faction can do that in Necromunda.
Yeah.
So I don't want to focus on that too much. They just have a couple things that can do it a little bit earlier than everybody else.
Yeah.
Overall, they're really fun to play. This was our second place for starter factions because they're not quite as easy to play as Goliath off the bat.
Right.
But they can do a little bit of everything, and they lead very naturally to certain things.
They're less forgiving than Goliath because Goliath just had the stats to make up for it. But they are also less confusing than Goliath because the genesmithing can get tough.
Yeah, Goliath is easy to play. Asterisks is ignore genesmithing.
Yeah. Whereas Orlock's just easy to play.
Yeah, and legendary names are super simple. You slap one on there and have fun.
Yep. You just get an extra ability.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we are narrowing down the list of available factions left. Only 2 left. Our Flamey Boys Cawdor and our Baldy Boys Deloc. At least as far as the main houses.
Yeah.
Then we'll start getting into the auxiliaries like our Stunty friends and our Ash Waste friends and our Cop.
And our bloodthirsty friends.
And our corn on the cobs. Until then, let us know below which one you want to see next. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.